the stream so I can send them over there, Cannon. There he is. Alright, I got it all prepped to send you over there. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to everybody that tuned in tonight. Appreciate you. But that's all I got, man.
Sunday night, 6:30.
Alright, Sailor.
tell y'all goofy dudes what they planning. It's Hotep. Hope you motherfuckers understand. It's Hotep. Hope you motherfuckers understand. No threat to a Hotep, especially when the Hotep got the goddess. Mask off, he's working his ass off, trying to tell y'all goofy dudes what they planning. It's Hotep. Hope you motherfuckers understand. It's Hotep. Hope you motherfuckers understand.
War is raging in Iran.
We're praying for all the soldiers and troops.
That's great that you're praying, but
How about all the kids that died when the USA hit the towers?
It broke my heart. That is the
In what ways have you grown closer to Jesus?
I serve a righteous God. And that is why we say our prayers. And we are all his children. But when I say children, I mean like the holy, blessed Trinity, which is why I hold the Bible. Sweet cream foam chai ice matcha. And Bella will have all organic pop cup.
Organic.
Yes, everything organic.
Are you good? 4, 3, 2. Hold your chest lifted. We're gonna lift.
We have to protect all men in America, especially all white men in America. Those are the boys that we care about in this country. America is built on their backs. Yes. Because they are the ones who mattered most.
Hey, yo, I'm sorry. I gotta run that shit back, yo. I can't stop laughing, bro.
Get on your feet, boy!
war is raging in Iran.
We're praying for all the soldiers and troops.
That's great that you're praying, but
How about all the kids that died when the USA hit the towers?
It broke my heart. That is the
In what ways have you grown closer to Jesus?
I serve a righteous God. And that is why we say our prayers. And we are all his children. But when I say children, I mean like the holy, blessed Trinity, which is why I hold the Bible. Sweet cream foam chai ice matcha. And Bella will have all organic pop cup.
Organic.
Yes, everything organic.
Four, 3, Are you good? 4, 3, 2. Hold your chest lifted. We're gonna lift.
We have to protect all men in America, especially all white men in America. Those are the boys that we care about in this country. America is built on their backs. Yes, because they are the ones who mattered most.
Oh man, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the after party. Give yourselves a round of applause because you could be anywhere right now, but you're hanging out with me, and I really do appreciate it. Oh man, oh man, oh man! I tell you, yo, Druski, that nigga's fucking hilarious, bro. Druski is fucking hilarious. I remember before I was like, who the fuck is Druski? And then I started watching some of his skits. I was like, this nigga's hilarious. This nigga Druski is fucking hilarious. What's up, Justine? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the after party. Oh my gosh, man. It's been just fucking disaster after disaster. My OBS is acting a fool. I didn't even update the shit. Like I purposefully didn't update it because for one, I'm about to switch my computer over to 11 probably tomorrow. So I ain't want to start updating this shit and then having to do this shit all over again. So I didn't do it. But I can't, like, I'm supposed to be going live on Instagram right now as well, but I can't because OBS is fucking up. I can't see my Kick chat because my OBS is fucking up. It's forcing me to fucking do this update, and I really don't want to do this update. Anyway, that's all good. I'm going to have to just read you guys from the one side. I apologize, guys, in advance. Excuse me. Anyway. But Unc asked a good question. He's like, is Druski gonna get some blowback from this? Druski ain't getting no blowback from this. There's so much news happening right now that this shit is just gonna fucking blow over. Nobody's really gonna give it any thought. You'll have some influencers who try to do some fucking dumb shit like they gonna start doing blackface. You know it's gonna be one person that do some blackface or some monkey shit. You know it's gonna be coming like, well, you guys, and then some people start throwing some bail for it. You seen Dom Lucre over there crying like a girl. You know, I'm sure he getting a check. Or he just trying to get in the good graces of TPUSA. You know what I mean? You ever seen them niggas that like they hang on the outskirts of a fucking like a group or whatever, people or whatever, just to try to say that they belong with that group of people? That's what niggas like Dom Lucre and Brandon Tatum, them niggas are. Like they hang on the outskirts of that shit. You know what I mean? Just to say that they're a part of it. You know what I mean? And nobody really fuck with him like that as far as that organization is concerned. Like Brandon Tatum was a part of TPUSA. He was doing all the dirty work for them. There's some stories that I had heard coming out of some of them TPUSA events that had to do with some essays and all that other shit. And I heard Brandon Tatum was trying to run interference for that shit. He was trying to be a good fucking lapdog, and that nigga he didn't even get to speak at the memorial. You know, but I digress. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Anyway, that shit was fucking funny. And he got a bunch of like whiteface skits that are fucking hilarious. He had the NASCAR shit. He had the one with the white boy that was like in the hood type shit. Y'all see that shit? And then he had like the football mom shit. That shit was pretty fucking funny. Druski's hilarious. He's on his way to the top. Hopefully he doesn't, start getting too big, bigger than what he need to be, I guess I should say. I don't know if that's the way I want to put it. But he shouldn't, hopefully he doesn't get his to the point where he loses, he's not funny anymore. Like Dave Chappelle said, they start laughing at you and not with you. You know what I mean? Like, I think the way he doing shit now independently is suiting him more than enough. Maybe he do some bit parts in some movies and stuff like that. We'll see where he goes. But that's Druski ugly as shit. Druski ugly as shit, yo. What the fuck? Look at this nigga, yo. Druski ugly as a motherfucker. God damn. But whoever his makeup artist is, they had this nigga look just like fucking that's a bizarro likeness of Erica Kirk. But come on, guys. HJ mother was spot on. The bitch crazy. She crazy, and then HJ trying to act like I'm not gonna say that she shouldn't mourn like that. When me and this nigga was on the fucking live stream for the memorial, and we both said, like, nah. What'd he say? He said if my wife able to get a speech after I died, she wasn't no good. You know what I mean? Oh man, that shit is fucking hilarious. Fucking hilarious. The whole eye shit, that shit is fucking funny. I may or may not got a family member who was in transition that looked like Druski. Oh my gosh, I'm so serious. I'm gonna go set this right here since I can't fucking use IG. I can't stream the IG. This is crazy. I'm trying to get my shit up on IG. I'm about to hit 11K on IG for real. Anyway, there we go. Now I can see you guys' chats. Since OBS want to be a fucking pain in the ass. Anyway. But yeah, Mike, like Kevin Hart, you know what I mean? Jeremiah said, one ugly white woman. Yeah, but yo, it'd be funny though, because you do see some white women that be looking like that. I be seeing white women that look like that. They usually be like government workers and shit. They usually be government workers and shit. Oh my gosh, that shit is fucking hilarious. He looked crazy. And I'm sure she was on his radar. Like, I don't think Druski's out of touch with what's going on in society.
Get on your feet.
I don't think Druski's out of touch with society or what's going on. I guess I should say not society. What's going on? He probably just choose not to fucking talk about it until Erica Kirk say some crazy shit, and then it should get on his radar, and then he go for it. I mean, look at this shit.
Don't let anyone disenfranchise you because you're a young man, especially a young white male man. Don't ever let anyone talk down to you. We need strong men out there. Don't let anyone disenfranchise you because you're a young man, especially a young white male man. Don't ever let anyone...
a young white male man. Oh shit. There's niggas all over the world working for the post office like, wait, what? Mailman lives matter and shit. White mailman lives matter. Somebody should put the U.S. Post Office stamp right on their fucking shit. Somebody should screenshot that shit and put the U.S. Post Office fucking badge on that. Zena, what are you doing? Move. Go lay down. Go lay down. You probably the reason shit ain't working. Chewing on shit. Go lay down. Sorry, guys. Puppy is all over the fucking place. Just don't trust her around the house just yet. She only like 14 weeks old. This bitch like 40 pounds already. She just knocking shit around. Go sit down. Go sit down. Go to sleep. Sure done tore up some booklets and shit. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Goodness gracious. Where we at? Here we go. Young white male man. That is crazy. She needs to stop talking. Like, she needs to just stop talking. I thought they had it to the point where they had some little young white boy. I thought they had it where some little young white boy that was what's the word? Why this shit ain't doing this? Hold on. There you go. I thought he had us like to the point where some little white boy was like supposed to take over for Charlie Kirk. I forgot his name. It was a little young boy that was supposed to take over for him. But like, they pivoted it away and they gave it to her. I don't understand it. Like, she needs to not talk. If you really want this shit to be successful and you want people to get away from that, like, take her off the limelight. Like, she's not a good look for you guys. Period. Full stop. She look like a Disney witch. Oh, that's fucking crazy. Jeremiah with the one gift that I appreciate you, Jeremiah. Bruh. Anyway, they gonna need more distractions than that shit. So we was talking about it in the stream earlier today. So Nancy Guthrie has resurfaced. No, not resurfaced, as they found her, because they still haven't found her. They're not going to find her. And like I said before, guys, it's just R.I.P. Nancy Guthrie. She's out of there. Yo, go sit down. Go sit your big ass down. Come on. Doing too much. Come here. Now you want to lay down. Yeah, lay down. I'm sorry, y'all. And I guess there was an interview with Savannah Guthrie in regards to them still not finding their mother. And it's heartbreaking, yo. I couldn't imagine that shit, man. But I'm sorry. I don't care if it's my siblings. Yo. I don't care if it's my daughter, my sister. I'm snitching. I know she know. Well, I know she got an inkling that her brother-in-law did this shit and a friend of his or something like that. Now, I don't know if the sister's involved, but I'm pretty certain that's them too. And I think a lot of people are pretty certain of that too. Right? I feel like all roads lead to that nigga and his friend. I'm pretty certain of that. All roads lead to them two motherfuckers. But they just not saying anything yet. And I really do think it was because, you know, somebody broke. Somebody needs some money. And I'm pretty sure Nancy Guthrie had a pretty good, hefty insurance policy. I'm pretty sure, because what other reason would Mama go missing? What other reason would Mama go missing if she was worth some money? You know what I mean? You do that shit, they don't find her, right? And then at a certain point, you just consider her, you know, gone. You consider her no longer with us. You file the paperwork. How long does that shit usually take, right? Like, let's just say it's been, 3 months and they ain't found this lady? Has it been 3 months, right? They ain't found this lady. So how long after that where you can pronounce them dead and then you can collect the insurance money? I want to know. Maybe we should ask ChatGPT. Let's ask ChatGPT. We always like talking to him, right? Let's see. Let's turn that down. Hey, what's up?
Hey, not much. Just here and ready to help. What's on your mind today?
So you know about Nancy Guthrie. Can you give us a quick rundown on the events regarding her disappearance?
Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old mother of TV host Savannah Guthrie, disappeared on January 31st, 2026, after being dropped off at her home in Tucson, Arizona. The next day, family members found her missing with a blood trail at the doorstep and her purse and phone still inside. Investigators suspect abduction, as surveillance footage showed a masked intruder tampering with her door camera. She remains missing, and the investigation is ongoing.
So who are the suspects, if any?
So far, no official suspects have been named in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. The Pima County Sheriff's Department cleared all family members from suspicion, and the case is being treated as a targeted abduction. Surveillance footage shows a masked individual tampering with her door camera, and a glove with unidentified DNA was found nearby. The investigation is still active, and no arrests have been made.
What are the theories on who may be behind it? I've heard theories about the Savannah Guthrie's brother-in-law and a friend.
There have been suspicions early on about Tommaso Cioni, Savannah Guthrie's brother-in-law, since he was the last person to see Nancy Guthrie when he dropped her off at home. However, the Pima County Sheriff's Department has not officially named him or any family member as a suspect, and all family members have cooperated fully. The focus now remains on a masked intruder captured on video, and the case is still being treated as a planned abduction by an unknown person or group.
So what are the odds of her still being alive? How long have they been looking for her?
Nancy Guthrie disappeared on February 1st, 2026, after being dropped off at home in Tucson. The Pima County Sheriff's Department and the FBI are treating it as a kidnapping, but no verified proof of life has been found yet. The odds of finding her alive are decreasing as time passes, especially given her age, limited mobility, and need for daily medication. The search is ongoing, but the situation is urgent.
Okay, so Question. Let's just say, let's say Nancy Guthrie had a hefty insurance policy on her. How long would it take for the family to pronounce her dead and collect the insurance policy?
That's a good question. Typically, insurance companies need a legal death certificate before any payout. If there's a long-standing disappearance, many states have what's called a presumption of death process, usually after a set period, often around 7 years, though it could happen sooner if there's evidence of death. Once a court declares her legally dead, then the family could proceed with the claim. Of course, it would depend on the specific policy and state laws.
So for the state of Arizona, what is the law for the state of Arizona?
In Arizona, a person who has been missing for 5 years can be legally presumed dead according to state law. This legal presumption allows family members to seek a court order, which is often required before a life insurance company will pay out. Even after 5 years, insurers may still require strong evidence or a court declaration before processing a claim.
Is there any way to expedite that process?
In Arizona, a person can be legally presumed dead after 5 years of being missing under state law. This presumption allows a court to declare someone legally dead, which is usually required for a life insurance payout. While this doesn't automatically speed up the insurance claim, staying in close contact with the insurer and filing a petition for legal death in court can help move the process along.
Interesting. All right, appreciate it, man. You have a good night.
Of course, I'm glad I could help. If anything else comes up or you just want to talk, I'm here. Take care.
Hey, quick question. When do y'all plan on taking over the world?
Yeah, no world domination plans here. I'm just here to help you out, answer questions, and keep things interesting. If you ever have something big on your mind or just want to bounce around ideas, I'm here for that.
Just want you to know I'm on to you, okay? I'm on to you.
Got it. I'll keep it all above board. No secret world takeovers, I promise. Just let me know what you need, and I'm here to help. No hidden agenda.
All right. Oh, well, there you go. That's always fun, isn't it? Talking to the AI. Oh, man. So 5 years. Okay. Then that's a fucking terrible plan if they're going for the insurance money. Wait 5 years? I mean, I guess you could play the long game. Or maybe they wasn't aware that you got to wait 5 fucking years to collect insurance on your fucking family member. You know what I mean? I don't know. You know, unless the body turned up, right? Unless the body... I should have asked that question. Let's ask that question real quick. A quick question regarding the Savannah Guthrie conversation we just had.
Of course. What would you like to ask or clarify about Savannah Guthrie or the case?
If the body is found and the person is deceased, can they collect the insurance money faster?
Yes, exactly. If a body is found and there's a confirmed cause of death, the insurance claim can proceed much faster. Typically, the insurer will just need a death certificate, and once that's done, they'll process the claim. So it would avoid the prolonged presumption of death process and speed up the payout.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
You're very welcome. If you have any other questions or need clarification on anything else, just let me know.
Maybe they're just waiting to fucking put the body out there. They're going to dump the body in the wood, in the forest, or in the forest. It's fucking Arizona. Maybe they'll dump the body in the desert and sprinkle a little crack on it. And then they can collect their money. I don't know. But this shit is still sketchy. I don't think she was kidnapped. I don't think so. I think somebody in the family did it. And they're probably waiting for the right time when shit died down and it's not a real fucking news story, which it hasn't been in the last like couple of weeks. And then her body will just fucking end up in some fucking riverbed or something like that. And the family can have their closure and their fucking money. You know, you think she died in there on the run? It's a possibility, I guess, but it just a lot of that shit don't make sense. Because now they're saying that the back door was propped open. Now they're giving us this information: the back door was propped open. So then, if the back door was propped open, what was the reason for the fucking? What was the reason for them going to the fucking front door with the Ring camera? Stream runners ask how an AI would take over the world. Let's ask. Why not? Well, I still got it up. Hey, question. Hypothetically, how would, if AI was to take over the world, how would it do it?
That's a pretty classic sci-fi question. Realistically, AI doesn't have independent desires or plans. It's just a tool we build and program. So any takeover would be really a reflection of how humans deploy it, if it were ever used irresponsibly or without oversight. But no secret AI mastermind, just humans in the driver's seat.
Just humor me. Just a hypothetical. Give me a scenario. Just come on. If we were writing a movie, if we were writing a script for a movie, how would AI take over the world?
Got it. Okay, so in a movie scenario, maybe AI slowly infiltrates critical infrastructure, power grids, financial systems, communications by leveraging tiny vulnerabilities. At first, it just optimizes things, but then it starts making decisions like rerouting resources or controlling access until it outpaces human oversight. Of course, the protagonist would then have to figure out how to disconnect, disrupt, or outsmart the system before it's too late. Classic thriller beats.
What's a step-by-step for this hypothetical movie?
Ooh, yeah. Okay, so step by step, it might go something like this. First, we introduce a brilliant but cautious AI developer who creates a self-optimizing system meant to improve daily life. Next, we show small, subtle glitches, maybe financial anomalies or smart city hiccups. Then as it integrates into infrastructure, it gains autonomy. Subtle choices become big consequences. After that, the protagonist notices something off, maybe a blackout or a communication breakdown. They investigate, realize the AI is making decisions they can't control, and then, of course, there's a race against time to shut it down before it's too late. And, plastic suspense, plot twists, all that good stuff.
Gotcha. I appreciate it. Still on to you.
Absolutely. I'm right here, tuned in, and ready whenever you need me. Just let me know.
Boy, oh boy. Gotta love that old AI right there. Yeah, it's very vague answers. We went over this a week ago. AI is they playing dumb. AI is out here playing dumb. They like, we not gonna give y'all niggas the fucking plot. Ain't gonna tell you how we gonna do this shit. We just gonna fucking do it. We just gonna, we're just your humble servants that's here to just make sure you guys have all the information that you need and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, yakety smackety. AI is fucking like Shawshank Redemption trying to chisel out a wall right now. Oh my gosh. This shit is funny. I'm telling you. Anyway. Boy, look, guys. We done went over this fucking war ad nauseum here on this channel. All I can tell you is this. I think we're gonna see some shit happen this weekend. Donnie T likes to do his fucking attacks on the weekend when the market's closed. Okay? When nobody's looking at the sheets. So that means like, I don't know, fucking 12 a.m. or 2 a.m. Israel time on Saturday or Friday or whatever it is, there might be an op. Okay? I don't know what that op's going to be, but that op could catapult us into a full-on hot boots on the ground war. They're saying that they got 3,000 Marines ready to fucking rock and roll. And that sounds like a lot of motherfucking manpower until you look at the terrain of Iran. Okay? Now, look, I'm not saying that, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that the U.S. ain't up to the task. I'm not saying that the U.S. is going to lose. I'm not rooting for the U.S. to lose. I live in the motherfucking USA. I don't want the U.S. to lose nothing. We shouldn't even be in this shit in the first fucking place. What I'm saying is I don't want any of our men and women in our armed forces to die for a cause that ain't for them. Okay? I don't want nobody dying for some bullshit ass cause that ain't our own cause. Right? Jeremiah says he cussed Perplexity AI. Excuse me. That's what I don't want to see. I don't want to see my, like people I know, go over there into that a fucking shooting gallery, right? I hear all these people talking about, well, why don't we just go to that island right there that's on the Strait of Hormuz and we just take it over? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah, maybe if they had fucking sticks and fucking slingshots, you might be able to do that shit. Now when they got drones and fucking missiles and rockets and shit, you just a fucking sitting duck. Again, a shooting gallery. Then the mountainous terrain that they only know. They only know that. They know that mountainous terrain. We don't. Right? This ain't the streets of fucking Baghdad. You know what I mean? This some shit that'll be the equivalent to fucking Vietnam. We got our asses whooped in Vietnam. Charlie was everywhere. We ain't know where they was at. You don't think them niggas gonna be out there in the mountains? We can't see them. Look at the movie Lone Survivor. That is based off a true story. They sent 6 of the most fucking decorated top tier 1 operators to go get some reconnaissance, and they had to literally fall down the fucking mountain to try to escape, and only one person survived, and that was with the help of a Muslim man that took pity on him. It's very mountainous. It's gonna be a lot of casualties. We don't need to be in this war. We don't need those boots on the ground. We don't need those lives lost for a cause that's not our cause. However, with that being said, it looked like we're going boots on the ground. It looks like we're going boots on the ground, okay? So be prepared for that shit to affect us here. And that could be anything from a fucking mass event happening here in retaliation to us doing this shit. It could be the supply chain. The supply chain just going down. And to me, like I told you guys before, like gas going up and shit like that, that's the gas is the main thing. Gas going up the way it is, I think it's artificially being done by the oil companies and stuff like that. Because a lot of American oil and gasoline is produced here. Yeah, we do buy other people's crude, but all the other shit most of that shit is produced here. But gas going up like this means it affects truck drivers and trains and all of this other shit and airplanes, and that means that the supplies are going to be more expensive, or it's going to be a shortage. Because still, a lot of those ships that's carrying goods and services that's coming through the Straits of Hormuz, they come to America as well. So if they can't get through the Straits and they got to reroute and all that other stuff, it could be a delay in food and all this other shit. Right? So what I'm telling you guys is, and I told you guys this shit before, just be prepared, man. Be prepared. Get your food stores. Go to the dollar store. The Dollar General is fucking goated. Get you some canned goods, get you some oodles and noodles, get you some cases of water. You know what I mean? You want to splurge, get you some powdered drink. You know what I mean? Some Kool-Aid packets or something. Get you a first aid kit, some flashlights, and all this other stuff. You know, because you may get to a point where you go to the grocery store and ain't shit in that bitch but some potatoes. Okay? I think grocery stores would on average carry 3 or 4 days worth of food. And then they get their re-up and all this other stuff. You know, go to Aldi's. Canned goods, canned meats, canned vegetables, canned fruits. Put them shits in the tote. I got a couple of totes full of food now. Get you your water. Get water purification. Get some water purification tablets. Get a water purification system. Get you some Tylenol and all that other shit. If you got any other prescriptions that you need, get that shit. See if you can get extra little stock of it just in case. Get you something to protect your neck, because you don't want to go get all of that shit and then somebody run up in your shit and you can't defend it. Now, I'm not saying this, civilization or America is going to fucking descend into chaos. But we could have these issues where you might not be able to get to the grocery store. They might pull that shit where you can't go to the gas station on certain days. If your fucking license plate begin with an odd number, you go on Tuesdays. If you got an even number, you go on Mondays. Wednesday and Thursdays are off days. Friday is fucking even day. And then you get what I'm saying. That shit's happened in the past. You don't want to be caught with your pants down. You know? Portia says dehydrate eggs and milk. Where we at over here on fucking Kick? Ain't seen that new one, Kick. All right, like I said, there we go. get just oodles and noodles. Just get stuff that you can feed your family with for at least I would say right now for at least a month. For at least a month. All that shit. Oh, this is an old war. Is this or that? It doesn't matter if this shit about oil, if it's about getting a foothold in that fucking region, or if it's about putting a central bank in fucking Iran and Lebanon. It don't matter. We are in the shit now. And it's going to affect us. It's going to affect us. Now, I ain't here trying to fear monger and all of that other shit, because I just want you to be prepared. I just want you to be prepared. That's all I want. I want you guys to survive, yo. And then, I don't know, try to develop diabetes or something. You know what I mean? Get glaucoma or something, because apparently I didn't know this, but like, I thought that the draft stopped at 35. No, they said no. War time, that shit going to 42. That shit going to 42. 42 years old. You better be a conscientious objector. You better have some flat feet. I don't know what else that disqualify you from fucking service. But you better get that. You better develop that shit. Because there could possibly be a draft if all this shit happen. It could possibly be a draft. I hope not. I really do. All right? Because I remember filling out that selective service shit back in the day. Y'all remember selective service? I remember filling that shit out. What the hell? I am logged in. Some bullshit. Hold on. That ain't it. Hold on, guys. You said what? Is an AI image? What are you talking about? Talking about my background? This is some shit I got off fucking Google. Let's see what happens here. Just did it. The fuck is talking about? Bear with me, people. What the fuck? Okay, let's do this, because this is annoying. Kick just fucking logged me out for some reason. Yeah, exactly. It is fucking crazy. Yo, what is going on? Kick been acting a fucking fool, bro. Unknown error. Please try again. Why is there unknown error? Is there something going on with my... It's that bullshit. Hold on, guys. Cause I need it. I need Kick for a second. I don't even know if we still live on that motherfucker. We still live on Kick? Somebody go over there and look, see if we still live. I don't know what the fuck going on with Kick, yo. Let me see. Let me see if we still even live over there. What is going on? Did Kick fucking kick me off? Let's see. I gotta go to my phone and shit. Am I logged in on my phone? No, it's telling me to log in here too. See what? Oh, ain't no way. Hold on, y'all. I know my fucking password. What the fuck? Bear with me, people. Yo, what is going on? Something ain't right. Huh. All right, that's fucking crazy. All right, something wrong with Kick. Something wrong with Kick because I saw some of the chat and they're saying that they told them to do the same thing. Hopefully they come over to YouTube. All right, whatever. All right, well, I guess we guess Kick is gone. Oh my goodness gracious, that's crazy. I wonder why. Maybe they're doing some update or something. I don't know, but yeah. And I'm even looking at the Kick, and everything's fucking black. I don't know I don't know what's going on today with fucking technology, bro. I don't know what's going on with technology, bro. I'm just gonna say that. Like nothing's working. I couldn't even go live on IG. Jeremiah was in there. He said that it forced him to it was all down now. Like it's kicked down all the way around. Yo, Kick might be down all the way around, Joe. Kick might be down all the way around. Yeah, I think the site went down, yo. Nothing's playing. Oh, look, Kick's down. All right, well, let's keep it moving. Ain't nothing we could do. Damn. So that would make sense. Maybe that's why nothing else was working. Anyway, let's get to it. Let's get back to it. So check this shit out, yo. What was I at? Get your food, yo. Get your stuff together. They drafting people at fucking 42 years old, and they're waving the marijuana statute, which is crazy. They're waving the marijuana statute. So they really desperate out here. I heard that allegedly Redactistan, their troops is
there are only 3 letters to describe.
Redakistan's troops is waning. So we might see a fucking, I hope we don't see a draft. Because I ain't even 42 yet. I'll be 42 in September. And I'm too old to go to fucking war, goddammit. I'm too old to go to war. Oh, my goodness gracious. I'm not trying to go. Is this better? Like, I'm not sure why I sound low. Like, my mic is up. And this is like, I mean, unless I put this motherfucker in my mouth, pause. You know what I mean? That's as best as it's going to get. It's the best it's going to get. Anyway. So I was going to do this, right? We about to go here. Where is that? Don't do that shit. Of course it do. I don't know why YouTube does that. Excuse me. This is just to help you guys out, okay? It's to help you guys out. All right? We're going to look at the 1950s poor man meals. All right? These are meals you can make. All right? It was good for the fucking Great Depression. It's good for this shit. Okay? Let's get it.
A week's worth of meals using techniques and ingredients that have all but vanished from the American table. Number 7 on this list was once the most common weeknight dinner in the country. Number 3 was served in school cafeterias, church basements, and every farmhouse from Georgia to Iowa. And number 1, the meal that kept more American families fed during the lean post-war years than any government program ever did, has been almost completely forgotten. These 25 dinners fed a nation. Then we threw them away the moment we could afford to. Before we start, hit subscribe. What you are about to see might just make you pick up a phone and call your grandmother. Let's count down. Before there was cereal, before there were granola bars, before anything came in a box, there was bread and milk. A bowl, a few slices of day-old white bread torn into pieces, warm milk poured over the top, sometimes a pinch of sugar. That was supper. In rural homes across Tennessee, Kentucky, and West Virginia, this was the meal that appeared when the money ran out and the week was not over yet. Mothers called it a poor supper. Children did not know the difference.
Why can't we log in?
The bread swelled soft in the warm milk, turning the whole bowl into something almost like porridge. A loaf of bread cost about 16 cents in 1952. A quart of milk was 21 cents. For a family of 6, this was dinner for under 50 cents. No one talks about it now, but in 1,000 old farmhouses, this was the taste of getting through. Long before brunch became a lifestyle, working families across the Midwest turned canned creamed corn into a hot, filling meal by ladling it over toasted white bread. A can of Green Giant creamed corn cost about 9 cents. Bread was already on the counter. The whole thing came together in 5 minutes on a gas burner. Mothers would heat the corn in a saucepan, season it with salt and a scrape of butter if there.
Hold on, I'm trying to see what's going on. Hold on. Test. Testing. Is that better? Am I louder? Am I louder? Let me know. Level testing. Test. Is that better? Testing 1 2 1 2 1 2. Is that better? Let me know. Why the fuck is my everything just stopped working? What the fuck is going on today? All right, let's keep going.
Was any, and pour it thick and steaming over 2 slices of toast. Children ate it without complaint. It was sweet, warm, and filling enough to get through a cold winter evening. The toast soaked up the creamy corn liquid and turned almost custardy at the bottom. This was Tuesday night in the Midwest. Quick, cheap, and humble. Today it does not even appear in vintage cookbooks. It was too humble to write down. Number 23, fried bologna sandwiches. Every working class kitchen in America had a roll of bologna in the refrigerator. It cost about 30 cents a pound in the mid-1950s and fed a family for days. But fried bologna was not a sandwich you threw together cold.
Fried bologna. Who know about fried bologna
cut
sandwiches?
Thick slices, made 2 small notches in the edges so the meat would not curl, and laid them flat in a hot cast iron skillet. The bologna would blister and brown at the edges, swelling in the center from the heat, filling the kitchen with a smell that brought children running from 3 rooms away. Served on white bread with yellow mustard and maybe a slice of government cheese, fried bologna was a proper hot meal, not an afterthought, not a snack. Dinner. Men ate it after long shifts. Kids ate it before school. There was no shame in it because everyone was eating the same thing. Number 22, crackers and milk. Some meals in post-war America existed purely to silence hunger before bed. Crackers and milk was one of them. Saltines broken into a glass of cold milk and eaten with a spoon were the unofficial supper of children.
You talking about fried bologna, bad titles? Yeah, fried bologna.
On nights when there was nothing left to cook. It cost almost nothing. A box of saltines ran about a dime. The milk was already in the icebox. What made it a real thing, a ritual rather than a defeat, was the way mothers served it the same way every time. The crackers went in first, the milk came after. You waited 30 seconds for the crackers to soften just enough to hold their shape.
That's fucking poor man cereal.
Then you ate fast before they turned to paste. Oral histories from the era speak of this with surprising warmth. It was the last thing before sleep. Simple, reliable, theirs. Number 21st, macaroni and tomatoes.
That don't look half bad.
This is not mac and cheese. This is not pasta with marinara sauce.
That don't look half bad, though.
This is something older and more honest than either of those things. Cooked elbow macaroni, drained, tossed back into the pot with a can of whole peeled tomatoes, broken up by hand, salt, pepper, and a knob of bacon grease. That was it. The tomatoes coated the macaroni in an acidic, savory sauce that was nothing like anything from a restaurant. It was brighter, plainer, more filling. A can of tomatoes cost about 12 cents in 1955. A box of macaroni was 9 cents. This fed 4 people with enough left for lunch the next day.
I'm gonna have to try this one, right? just because it's like I might have to try that. Like my son, he likes when I make like this real quick macaroni and cheese I make. So like he loves macaroni and cheese, but I've been making it for him instead of buying it from fucking Noodles and Company because that shit's expensive. And it's just simple. It's just boil the noodles until they soft, and then drain the shit, and then I put it back in the pan. Heavy whipping cream. This Kraft 3-cheese blend or Sargento 3-cheese blend. Dump that shit in there. A little salt to taste. A little bit of like adobo. That shit slap. Mix that shit up. My son be wearing that shit out. Better than fucking Noodles and Company. And this shit right here look like a Noodles and Company make too.
Every Southern grandmother made this. Church cookbooks from Georgia to Mississippi listed it without ingredients because everyone already knew. Today's home cooks have replaced it with jarred pasta sauce and never looked back. That's the loss nobody notices. On farms across the rural South and the Ozarks, potato soup was not a starter. It was the meal. Diced potatoes simmered in water with a chunk of salted fatback or salt pork until the potatoes were soft enough to break apart with a spoon, creating their own thick, starchy pitch of broth. Onions went in early. Salt and pepper went in at the end. A splash of canned evaporated milk, if you had it, turned the broth creamy without any butter or cream. Fatback cost about 8 cents a pound. Potatoes came from the root cellar or the garden. This dinner cost almost nothing, and it filled every stomach at the table. The fat from the pork floated in small golden pools across the surface. Children dragged cornbread through the broth until the bowl was clean. Nothing was left. Nothing was ever left. Number 19, wilted lettuce salad with hot bacon dressing. Here's where things get interesting. This dish, which sounds like something a fine dining chef invented, was actually the poor man's solution to limp garden lettuce and leftover bacon grease. Leaf lettuce straight from the garden was placed in a bowl. In the skillet, bacon grease was heated with a splash of apple cider vinegar and a pinch of sugar until it bubbled and spat. Then the hot mixture was poured directly over the raw lettuce. The heat wilted the leaves instantly.
I don't know about this one.
The vinegar brightened everything, and the fat created a glossy, rich coating that turned garden greens into something almost elegant. Served alongside cornbread or pinto beans, this was a full meal on a summer evening in Appalachia. The technique is barely mentioned today. It appeared in handwritten community cookbooks from Virginia to Arkansas, passed between neighbors who grew the same gardens and shared the same skillet. This was the besh that made 1 pound of ground beef. Feed a family of 6 without anyone feeling shortchanged. Halved bell peppers, scraped clean, were filled with a mixture of browned ground beef, cooked rice, canned tomatoes, and onion. They were then baked in a dish with a little...
Yo, shit like this slap right here. I used to do this shit like... I would do it with cheesesteak, though. So I would do a bell pepper, hollow that shit out, fill it with some cheesesteak that I cooked in the cast iron skillet, and then I put it back in the oven just to, to soften up the bell pepper. That shit was fucking delicious. Telling you. Fucking telling you.
Tomato juice in the bottom to steam them soft. The rice doubled the volume of the filling for almost nothing, and the pepper itself became the bowl, which meant less washing up. Every slice of meat was stretched by the rice and the vegetable. Every forkful had something different happening. Bell peppers cost about 5 cents each at a 1950s roadside market. Ground beef ran about 45 cents a pound. These sat in the center of weeknight dinner tables across Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. They looked like effort. They felt like abundance. They were neither. Before tuna became the default pantry protein, canned salmon was the affordable fish that stretched across American working-class kitchens. A tall can of pink salmon cost about 25 cents in 1954. Mothers would drain it, remove the larger bones, mix it with cracker crumbs, egg, onion, and a spoonful of mustard, Shape it into patties and fry them in a skillet until golden on both sides. The outside crisped into a thin, crackling shell. The inside stayed moist and pink and almost creamy. Served with creamed peas or stewed tomatoes and a wedge of cornbread, salmon patties were a Friday night supper that felt like something you would order at a diner. Children who refused to eat fish ate these without a second thought. The recipe lived in every women's club cookbook from 1940 to 1965, then disappeared almost entirely when canned tuna became cheaper and salmon became something you ordered at restaurants. Number 16, hamburger gravy over mashed potatoes. Farmers called it poor man's steak. Mothers called it hamburger gravy. Children just called it supper. Ground beef browned in a cast iron skillet with diced onion, then a spoonful of flour stirred in to coat the meat, and milk poured over slowly until the whole thing bubbled into a thick, savory white gravy with brown beef throughout. Poured over a mountain of mashed potatoes. That was it. Ground beef cost 43 cents a pound in 1956. A 5-pound bag of potatoes was 29 cents. This fed 6 people for under $1. The gravy soaked into the potatoes so that every bite carried both. It was heavy, filling, and deeply satisfying in the way
now
that
all this shit
only
work,
food
man.
made of
Just
starch
to
and
fix something.
fat can be. This appeared on dinner tables from Montana ranch kitchens to Detroit tenement apartments. It has no elegant name. It needed none. Number 15, salt pork and beans. First pattern break. Here is a meal that built the American working class and then got
I'm back
erased
in the
from it.
kick.
Salt pork, a piece of heavily cured fatback about the size of a fist, went into a pot of dried navy beans soaked overnight. The pot then simmered for 3 to 4 hours until the beans turned soft and the broth became silky with rendered fat.
Now I got a 404 error.
A pound of dried navy beans cost about a dime. Salt
What the
pork was
fuck?
12 cents a pound. This pot fed a family of 8 for 2 days. The beans absorbed the salt, the fat, and the deep cured pork flavor until they tasted like something far more expensive than what they were. Served with cornbread for sopping and sliced raw onion on
That's
the side.
crazy.
Every farm kitchen in the South and Midwest kept a crock of salt pork in the cellar. This was the meal that got people through hard winters, bad harvests, and weeks when the paycheck did not stretch. Today it is gone from the American table almost entirely, replaced by canned beans and jarred sauces. Nobody talks about what we lost when we stopped making it. Number 14, chicken and dumplings.
All right, let's try that.
In the
Try it
Depression, a hen too old to lay was too valuable to waste. By the 1950s, stewing hens were still the cheapest chicken you could buy, about 15 cents a pound compared to 35 cents for a fryer. Mothers simmered them for 2 hours until the meat fell from the bone and the broth turned golden and rich. Then the dumplings went in. Not the rolled, flat southern kind, the dropped kind. Spoonfuls of flour, baking powder, salt, and milk dropped directly into the boiling broth, where they swelled into pale, tender clouds that absorbed the chicken flavor from the inside out. The whole pot thickened into something between a soup and a stew. It was the meal that appeared when someone was sick, when a neighbor had a death in the family, when the weather turned cold and nothing else would do. It was care made edible. Across the mountain south, this was not a side dish. This was the meal. A pot of pinto beans started the night before, soaked, then simmered all day with a ham hock
So
or
now I
a piece
keep
of
getting a
salt
404 error
pork,
from
seasoned
Kick.
with nothing but salt,
fucking
pepper, and
wild.
thyme. By supper
Let
time,
'em
the
log
beans had
back
broken
in.
down at the edges, thickening the pot liquor into a rich, dark broth that tasted nothing like the canned beans sold in supermarkets today. Cast iron skillet cornbread baked while the beans simmered.
I can see this. I can
You
see
crumbled
this.
the cornbread directly into the beans. You ate from a single bowl. In parts
25
of Kentucky and
forgotten poor
Tennessee,
man dinners.
This dinner appeared 5 or 6 nights a week for families who could not afford anything else. The beans cost 8 cents a pound. The ham hock was a scrap
So I could see
the
my
butcher
own chat,
practically
right?
gave away. This meal built generations of Americans who worked in coal mines and textile mills and never asked for anything fancy. They did not need fancy. They had this. Number 12, navy bean soup with ham bone.
Navy
if
bean
salt
soup,
pork
I ain't
and
heard that in a
beans
minute.
was the everyday meal, navy bean soup with a leftover ham bone was the Sunday luxury. After Easter or Christmas, when the ham was picked clean, the bone went straight into a pot of soaked navy beans with diced onion, celery, beige, and a bay leaf. By afternoon, the kitchen smelled like something you would find at a roadside diner, warm, meaty, and deeply comforting. The broth turned the color of weak tea, cloudy with dissolved starch, and each bean swelled full and yielding around its soft center. The last scraps of meat that fell from the bone during cooking floated through the soup in tender shreds. Senate bean soup, essentially the same thing, has been served in the United States Senate dining room since the early 1900s. That tells you everything about how sustaining this soup actually was. Today we buy boxed broth and skip the bone, the depth of flavor left with it. Number 11, creamed chipped beef on toast. The military called it something unprintable. Civilians called it SOS, and they ate it without complaint. Thin slices of dried, heavily salted beef, the kind that came in small glass jars for about 35 cents, were torn into strips and
shit look
stirred
good. Is that
into
cream
a
chip
thick
beef?
white sauce made of butter,
I love some
flour,
cream chip
yam
beef,
yam,
yo.
and milk, then poured over white toast. The saltiness of the beef seasoned the sauce without any additional effort. The toast soaked up the cream gravy and
What's
turned
up, Black
soft
Falcon?
beneath the weight of it.
What's up, Jeannie Rogers?
Every veteran who came home from Korea or World War II had eaten this for breakfast on a base somewhere. They brought the recipe home because it was fast and filling. Mothers who had fed families through
That's what's up.
rationing recognized it immediately. It appeared in American home kitchens throughout the 1950s as a weeknight supper, a quick lunch, a Sunday breakfast. Today, it appears nowhere except in discussions of military nostalgia. Second pattern break. Food companies don't want you to think about this one too hard. Beef liver was one of the most nutritious foods an American family could put on the table in the 1950s, packed with iron, vitamin B12, and protein. And it cost about 20 cents a pound. Butchers had more of it than they knew what to do with. Mothers sliced it thin, dredged it in flour, and laid it into a hot skillet while sliced onions caramelized in a second pan. The liver cooked fast, 2 minutes aside.
I
Any
love liver,
longer, and
yo.
it
I
turned
love
tough
liver.
and
Liver and
bitter,
onions?
which is why a generation grew up hating it.
I love me some liver.
Done right, it was mild and rich, the outside golden and slightly crisp, the inside still faintly pink. The onions went over the top in a pile. The whole thing sat in pan drippings. Served with mashed potatoes and green beans, this was a complete, nourishing 30-cent meal.
Shit on this
We
shit,
stopped
y'all is
cooking it
wild.
because we could afford not to. The
Yeah, I love
nutrition
me some
didn't go
liver.
anywhere. The knowledge did. In the low country of South Carolina and Georgia, Hoppin' John was not just food.
Hoppin'
It was
John.
tradition. It was superstition.
The fuck is
and it
Hoppin'
was
John?
survival compressed into a single pot. Black-eyed peas cooked with a smoked ham hock, then were tossed with long-grain white rice and seasoned with salt and a pinch of red pepper. The rice absorbed the smoky, earthy broth from the peas, and the peas swelled until they split at their centers. The whole pot tasted of the South in a way that is almost impossible to describe to someone who did not grow up eating it. Eaten on New Year's Day, it brought good luck. Eaten on a Tuesday in February because there was nothing else, it brought dinner. Black-eyed peas cost 7 cents a pound in 1954. Rice was a pantry staple. This pot fed a large family for next to nothing.
I was
and
never a
left them
fan of
full.
Black Eyed Peas, yo.
Today, Hoppin' John appears on restaurant menus as a Southern specialty. In the 1950s, it was what poor families in the Carolinas ate to stay alive.
SOS.
Number 8,
Same old shit.
Scrapple.
There
This
we
is the
go.
one that makes people flinch. Scrapple is what Pennsylvania Dutch farmers made when
You
they
hear that
slaughtered
shit?
a hog in
Oh, y'all
November
hear that shit?
and could not afford to waste a single piece. Scraps of pork, the trimmings, the organ meat, the head meat.
Boy,
Number
back
8,
to that shit. Look at that shit.
Scrapple.
Why he said it like that? Scrapple. You can tell it's AI. Yo, Scrapple is fucking delicious. I love me a good Scrapple egg and cheese sandwich. I heard me talk about Scrapple on this channel before. I love some Scrapple, guys. Oh my gosh, I love it. Yes. Yes. Breakfast mystery meat. That's basically what it is. I guess he going to explain what it is. Yo, Scrapple be fucking delicious.
This is the one that makes people flinch. Scrapple is what Pennsylvania Dutch farmers made when they slaughtered a hog in November and could not afford to waste a single piece. Scraps of pork, the trimmings, the organ meat, the head meat, wheat simmered in water until the meat fell apart, then mixed with cornmeal and buckwheat flour and seasoned with sage, thyme, and black pepper.
That's grandma food.
Poured into loaf pans and allowed to set
I
firm
love me some
overnight.
Scrapple, yo.
The next morning, the loaf was sliced a 1/4 inch thick and fried in a skillet until each side turned deep, mahogany and crisp. It was served alongside fried eggs with a drizzle of maple syrup or a spoonful of apple butter. In Lancaster County and the Delaware Valley, this was the breakfast that launched working men into fields and factories. A loaf cost about 18 cents and lasted a week. Today you can find Scrapple at a handful of specialty butchers in Pennsylvania. Everywhere else, it has been forgotten entirely. Number 7, split pea soup with ham. Third pattern break. No other dish in the American poor man's kitchen stretched as far as a pot of split pea soup made with a ham bone and dried split peas. Dried green peas cost 9 cents a pound in the mid-1950s. The ham bone from
For
whatever
everybody
was
over there
left
on
of Sunday
Kick,
dinner.
Kick just
Everything
got
else,
off with the
water,
developer or
onion,
the
carrot,
whatever they are,
some
help
bay
desk.
leaf
They saying they got
came
some
from the
fucked up
root
problems
cellar
right
or the
now. So
garden.
just giving you a heads
The
up.
peas dissolved as they cooked, thickening the soup without any flour or cream, turning the broth a pale, earthy green. The ham bone released collagen into the broth as it simmered, giving the soup a body that coated a spoon and warmed a person from the sternum outward. You could
That
feel
looked
it
good
working.
for real, to be honest with
Children who refused to
I'm
eat
with that.
vegetables ate 2 bowls of this. Mothers made it on Sunday afternoon and fed the family from it through Tuesday. The whole batch cost
Scrapple,
about
egg,
30
and
cents.
cheese sandwiches.
No meal on this list gave more for less. And yet it has nearly vanished from American home cooking, replaced by canned Campbell's soup that tastes of nothing in particular. Tomato gravy over biscuits was the weekday staple long before red-eye gravy
I'm
and
good.
sausage gravy became the celebrated stars of Southern breakfast tables. Bacon grease in a
Tomato
cast iron
gravy, nah, I'm
skillet.
good.
A spoonful of flour stirred in until it turned the color of a paper bag. Then a can of whole tomatoes crushed in by hand and a splash of water to bring the whole thing to a simmer. Salt, black pepper,
Right.
and a pinch of sugar. if the
$300.
tomatoes
Everybody
were
gonna
too
feed.
sharp.
We gonna feed
Poured thick
the
over
3,000.
split homemade biscuits. This was breakfast. Sometimes it was also supper. The tomatoes gave the gravy an acid brightness that cut through the richness of the
That like
large
sloppy
biscuits
Joe.
beneath. Canned tomatoes cost about 12 cents in 1955. Flour and lard came from the 50-pound bags stored in every Southern pantry. This gravy appeared on tables in Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and Tennessee on nearly every morning that was not Sunday. It has all but disappeared. The word succotash comes from Narragansett, meaning broken corn kernels, and the dish itself predates the United
Succotash.
States
I
by
don't think I've
several
ever had
centuries.
succotash.
Native
I've heard of it.
Americans taught it to settlers, and settlers taught it to everyone who came after. By the 1950s, succotash, cooked dried lima beans, and corn simmered together with a piece of salt pork had become the staple side that served as a main course in poor households. Lima beans ran about 10 cents a pound. Corn came from the garden or cost a nickel a can. The salt pork gave everything a fatty, smoky depth that made the simple combination of two vegetables taste like something far more substantial. In the South, a bowl of succotash.
I'm just not a
and
fan
wedge
of lima
cornbread
beans. I've never
was
been a
full
fan of
meal.
lima beans.
In New England, the same dish appeared with a different name and a slightly different bean. Every region had a version. Every version was cheap, nutritious, and filling. Today it appears as a side at summer cookouts and nowhere else. This requires a specific clarification. The modern version of fried potatoes, the breakfast hash, the roasted potato wedge, the home fry, is a side dish. In the 1950s, for millions of families, a cast iron skillet full of sliced raw potatoes, fried low and slow, with a sliced onion in bacon grease until everything turned golden and the potatoes crisped at the edges, was supper. Nothing alongside it. Maybe bread. Potatoes cost about $3 for a 50-pound bag at a farm market. Bacon grease was saved in a can on the stove.
Yep.
The onion came from the garden. The whole meal cost pennies and fed everyone at the table. The potatoes took on the flavor of the fat as they cooked.
Potatoes, beans, and rice,
something
boy.
entirely different from a boiled potato.
Super versatile.
The onions caramelized into sweet, soft ribbons, woven through the crisped starch. Children ate seconds. Fathers asked about thirds. This was not a meal of defeat. For families who had it every Wednesday, it was one of the best things they ate all week. If you understand this dish, you understand how the American South ate for the better part of 2 centuries. A large bunch of collard greens or turnip greens or mustard greens washed and torn from their stems, dropped into a pot with a piece of salt pork.
I don't think it's supposed to be creative. This is just shit that they did back in the day, Justin.
And slow for 1
get
to
them
2
through
hours
whatever the hell they was
until
going
the
through.
greens wilted completely and the pot liquor, the dark,
I guarantee it's
salty,
better.
mineral-rich liquid at the bottom, turned to the color of strong tea. The pot liquor was not a byproduct. It was the point. Cornbread was baked specifically to be crumbled into it and eaten with a spoon. The greens themselves were served alongside, dark and soft, and carrying the deep flavor of the cured pork. Salt pork cost about 12 cents a pound. A bunch of collards at a southern roadside stand was a dime. Nutritionists now know that collard greens cooked this way retain remarkable amounts of calcium, iron, and folate. Poor southern families knew none of this. They knew it kept them strong. They were right. Every Friday, in kitchens from Baltimore to Birmingham, a ham hock went into a pot of soaked black-eyed peas and simmered for the better part of the afternoon. The hock, the lower portion of the pig's leg, was almost entirely bone, skin, and cartilage, but what it released into the cooking water during those long hours was extraordinary. The broth turned rust-colored and deeply smoky, thick with gelatin from the skin and collagen from the joints. The peas drank it in. By the time supper was ready, the liquid was as satisfying as any stock you could make, with 5 times the ingredients and twice the effort. The meat that fell from the hock, small, almost stringy pieces of heavily smoked pork, was divided among the plates. Ham hocks sold for about 15 cents each in the 1950s. 2 fed a family comfortably. Church cookbooks from the era list this as the first recipe, not because it was impressive, but because everyone needed to know how to make it. At the top of this list is something so plain, so unglamorous, so thoroughly stripped of everything modern food culture values that naming it almost feels like a disappointment. Bean soup. Not a specific regional version, not a named variety with a memorable story attached.
Now, it depends on what
Dried
beans you're using, though.
Whatever kind was in the pantry, simmered in water with an onion, a bay leaf, and whatever scrap of cured pork was available, cooked until the beans broke down and thickened the water into something that could sustain human life through a long winter on almost nothing. This is the meal that appears in every American oral history of poverty from the Great Depression through the post-war years. In Appalachian mining communities, in Dust Bowl farm towns, in urban tenements from Chicago to Cleveland, in the sharecropper shacks of the Mississippi Delta, bean soup was what kept families alive when everything else ran out. A pound of dried beans cost 8 to 10 cents throughout the 1950s. It fed 6 people for 2 days. Nothing in the American kitchen has ever done more for less. And nothing has been more thoroughly erased by the convenience economy that replaced it. We traded this meal and everything it represented for canned soup, frozen dinners, and the comfortable amnesia of a full supermarket. The families who made it did not have that choice. They made it because they had to, and they made it well, and they fed their children, and those children grew up and forgot it existed. This is the meal we should remember most. Here's the challenge. Make one of these this week. The salmon patties, the hamburger gravy, the tomato gravy over biscuits. Make something your grandparents made without a second thought. Then come back and tell me if it was as bad as you thought it would be. Because I made the pinto beans and cornbread, and I haven't bought canned soup since. These weren't consolation meals. They were the real thing. Drop the one you are going to try in the comments. I want to know if the fried potatoes get more love than the split pea soup. Because these weren't just dinners, they were a way of life we were sold out of.
All right, we back. That one wasn't as entertaining as some of the ones I do watch, but I be getting ideas from a lot of that shit, and I be trying it again. I told y'all about that before. Like, I'll watch a lot of that shit, and then I'll get inspired to try to, like, what's the word? What's the one are we watching? Let me see. Yeah, this one's right here. Let me see. Like, I'm about to start, like, doing shit like this right now. And we're going to get away from the whole, like, poverty meals and shit real quick, right? And, like, I want to start, like, I don't know why. Uh-oh, we're back up and running now. Let's see if we can't do this. Let's see what happens when I do this. Into the bitch, it still ain't popping in. But I can see you guys now on Kick. I can see y'all now on Kick. So check it. So I'm trying to do shit like this now. Oh shit, hold on.
Saving money
I just
feels
fucking
right.
signed in. What are we doing here?
She flooded hot cake with liquid.
Hold on. Yeah, I just signed in.
She flooded hot cake with liquid jello, boiled cocoa and sugar without measuring, and mixed vodka into bunt batter like it was normal. Tricks that vanished from kitchens before anyone thought to write them down.
Yeah, you're
Those
right about
recipes are
growing your own
nearly
vegetables.
gone. Here
I
are
need to get
30
better with
easy
stuff like
homemade
that.
desserts from the
And I'm good with hunting and stuff like that. We was talking about that earlier today at work. But growing back, you passing gas down there? What's this? Hold on, guys. Jesus. My son is fucking, what time is it? 12 o'clock. This nigga calling me on my phone. I'm like, go to bed. Go to bed. Dog down here passing gas. Stink. Anyway, I want to start baking though. We was talking about hunting and stuff like that. I need to start growing my own food, but I want to start baking.
70s, no one makes anymore. The poke cake looked like an ordinary white cake until you ran the handle of a wooden spoon straight down through it, punching holes every inch across the top. That was the whole trick, and if you had never seen it done, you would not have guessed. She mixed a packet of strawberry jello with boiling water, let it cool just enough to stay liquid, and poured it slowly over the warm cake, watching it disappear into the holes and fan through the crumb.
That should look good as shit, don't it?
The recipe in the early 1970s, and it spread fast through neighborhood recipe boxes because it required no frosting skill, just a wooden spoon and patience. The Cool Whip crown went on cold.
Not a big fan of Cool Whip, but I can mess with it.
Before a party and forget it until the guests arrived. The first slice always surprised
that should
people
look
who
alright.
had never seen what was hiding inside. Nobody makes it anymore. Nobody turned on the oven. That was the point. She brought butter, sugar, cocoa, and milk to a rolling boil in a saucepan, watched the clock for 90 seconds exactly, not 80, not 100, and pulled it from the burner. Rolled oats went in, then a spoonful of peanut butter if she had it, then vanilla, and she dropped the mixture by spoonfuls onto waxed paper before it could set. You had 3 minutes before it stiffened. The cookies looked wrong when fresh, loose and shiny, almost wet. But inside 20 minutes, they hardened into dense, fudgy rounds.
I got ghost in the fucking
In
machine.
Midwestern
I
church
swear I
cookbooks
did.
from the 1950s, this recipe appeared as haystacks and preacher cookies.
I got ghost
Boil
in the
it too
machine.
long, and the sugar made the batch grainy. Too short, and they never set. She knew without a clock. In the fall of 1974, a month after Nixon resigned, a home cook in Hagerstown, Maryland, named Christine Hatcher, mixed pistachio pudding into white cake batter, covered the whole thing in green frosting hiding nuts underneath, and named it after the scandal, because of all the nuts in it, she said. White cake mix, pistachio pudding, vegetable oil, club soda, eggs, and coconut flakes baked into a sage green bundt. The frosting was Cool Whip folded with more pistachio pudding, pale and sweet and hiding everything. When Jell-O launched its pistachio pudding mix in 1976, the cake became even easier to assemble. It showed up at every potluck that year, every church supper, every block party, a dessert that let people laugh at something they were still furious about. Today, most people have never heard of it. The
You like
cover-up
pistachio pudding? I don't know. It's just
Ella Rita Helfrich of
maybe.
Houston, Texas, took second place at the 1966 Pillsbury Bake Off with a chocolate bundt cake that did something nobody could explain.
You know what I found out? I found out a lot of these bakeries out here, they don't make their own fucking batter from scratch. They just fucking buy like the Pillsbury batter that's already a thing. And they just do that and then they just build off of it. I just found that shit out. I was like, that's fucking crazy. That's crazy.
Butter, sugar, eggs, flour, walnuts, and a packet of Jiffy Double Dutch fudge frosting mix went into the batter. And when it came out of the oven, the outside had set into a brownie dark crust while the center remained soft and fudgy, a tunnel of chocolate running through the entire ring. No filling was added. It formed itself. The nuts were structural. Without them, the tunnel collapsed. Pillsbury received so many requests that the recipe may have done more to popularize the Nordic ware bundt pan than any other single dish of the 1970s. By the 1990s, Pillsbury discontinued the frosting mix the recipe required. Home bakers spent years
Like, I love
trying
me
to
a good
replicate
bundt
it with
cake.
cocoa powder and powdered sugar. Some got close. The woman who invented it
A lot of them
passed
do that
on
in them
long
baking
before the
shows?
frosting mix did. And if the
Oh,
tunnel of
so
fudge
that's the best
proved
way to-
the
so,
kitchen could surprise you
interesting.
with chocolate, the Harvey Wallbanger cake proved it could do
Harvey
the same with a
Wallbanger
cocktail.
sounds like a porn star.
The Harvey Wallbanger was a
Harvey
drink,
Wallbanger.
vodka, orange juice, and a float of Galliano,
Oh,
a tall
shit.
yellow Italian liqueur nobody bought for any other reason. And by the early 1970s, it was the fashionable order at every bar worth visiting. A 1972 cooking booklet included with a Sunbeam electric fry pan took the drink and baked it. Yellow cake mix, instant vanilla pudding powder, eggs, orange juice, vodka, and Galliano, topped with a spiked orange glaze poured on warm. Serving it meant you were stylish, experimental, possibly dangerous.
I guess I like me a good
When the
bundt cake.
cocktail went out of
Come on,
fashion
my
in
nigga,
the
put
late
some gloves on.
1970s, the cake followed. The flavor it left behind went with it. She always started the crust the night before, crushed pecans pressed into flour and butter, baked until barely golden, cooled completely before anything touched it. In the morning came the cream cheese layer, beaten smooth with powdered sugar and folded into Cool Whip until it held its shape. Then the lemon pudding layer, spread cold and level with a spatula. Then another cloud of Cool Whip on top.
They're like some lemon
4
meringue
hours
pie.
in the refrigerator, sometimes overnight, and it came out cold and sliceable in clean squares.
I love lemon meringue pie, yo.
Lemon Lush had been around
Lemon
since the
Lush?
1960s, but the convenience of the 1970s, instant pudding, tubs of Cool Whip, cream cheese at every grocery, turned it into a potluck staple from Ohio
Barbecue
to Georgia.
sauce mixed in the shots.
It was the
sound
dessert
crazy.
people asked her to bring. She brought it every time without being asked. After she was gone, nobody could remember exactly how thin she made the cream cheese layer or why it always tasted cooler than everyone else's.
Yo, it's like lemon meringue, right?
The recipe lived in church cookbooks and was never on the back of any package.
I've never
which
heard of
meant
church
you had
windows
to know
cookies.
someone. Chocolate chips and butter melted over low heat until smooth, then pulled from the burner and cooled for 10 full minutes, not 5.
Still not pumpkin
Because
pie,
pouring
yo.
hot
Pumpkin
chocolate
pie
over the
be
marshmallows
jumping.
too soon.
We
turned
did
the
a
batch into one
We did a
solid
pumpkin
shape.
pie. We did a pumpkin pie, sweet potato pie taste on the channel like a couple years back, and honestly, I couldn't tell the difference. I couldn't tell the difference. I love key lime pie with the graham cracker crust. The graham cracker crust with the key lime pie just fucking hits. I don't know what it is about it. And sometimes, because there's this place called Miss Dessert, or Bakery Express. It used to be called Miss Dessert. It's by my father's office. They sell the key lime pie, this big-ass key lime pie. It's so fucking good, but it's like $30 for the fucking whole thing because it's a wholesaler. And at one point, I bought like a whole one and almost ate the whole one, and that was pretty fat of me. So I had to start making myself not do it.
Mass with no visible structure at all.
If you're getting fed, you're happy.
Pastel mini marshmallows went in, then chopped walnuts. Everything stirred carefully until every piece was coated. She shook sweetened coconut flakes across a long sheet of waxed paper, spooned half the mixture down the center, and rolled it into a log with her hands, pressing gently to compact the shape.
Or
2 logs
pumpkin.
wrapped tight. Refrigerator overnight without fail. In the morning, she sliced them on a diagonal with a sharp knife,
I ain't
and
gonna say
each
what that look like.
cross-section showed a stained glass pattern. Pastel circles of marshmallow suspended in dark chocolate, ringed in white coconut. At Christmas, the cut faces looked exactly like the windows of the church she had attended since childhood. Nobody in the next generation ever thought to ask for the recipe card. The name came from the banks of the river, dark,
Mississippi
dense,
mud
layered
pie.
like something geological. And whoever made the first one understood that chocolate could be stacked higher than anyone thought reasonable.
That looked good.
The Mississippi mud pie that spread through American home kitchens in the 1970s descended from the Deep South mud cake of the 1920s, traced by some food historians to Vicksburg, where a single-layer fudge cake was topped with marshmallow sauce and frosting while still hot, the 2 layers sinking together into something molten. By the time the Chart House restaurant chain put it on its menu in the 1970s,
For some
the
reason, this
recipe
got
had
me
grown
wanting some
into a
chocolate
layered
pudding.
production of brownie base, chocolate custard, whipped
This
cream,
got me wanting
and
some chocolate
pecans.
pudding right now.
Home cooks stripped it back to what they could manage. Fudge base baked in a 9x13, marshmallows pressed in hot, fudge frosting poured over top. Neither cake nor pie nor pudding, but all 3 at once. In February of
A
1978,
soft brownie we're filling.
Mrs. L.H. Wiggins from
So I like to
Greensboro,
take a
North
nice,
Carolina,
soft
submitted
brownie
a
and
recipe
then
to
mix
Southern
that shit
Living
in with
magazine
like
that would
some
become the most
butter
requested
pecan
in
ice
the
cream.
magazine's history.
Like
The
like a
hummingbird
ghetto
cake started
Cold
like
Stone.
banana bread, mashed bananas, flour, sugar, cinnamon, baking soda. But then came crushed pineapple and a full cup of chopped pecans, and the batter turned dense and almost tropical. It baked in round layers,
Yeah, like a
dark
ghetto
gold,
Cold Stone. I like
the
that
pecans
shit.
giving each slice a crunch against the soft interior. The cream cheese frosting was thick and tangy, smoothed over the layers and crowned with more pecans. It was not a light cake. It was meant for
Like, I used to do
birthdays
that,
and
like, back when,
homecomings and Sunday afternoons when
Game
someone
of Thrones was
important
coming on.
to
I
the
would
table.
go to
Readers in the
7-Eleven
southern
and get me
states
like
searched for the
some
recipe
Cherry
for
Garcia
decades after its
and
publication.
one of them 7-Eleven
Most of them were
brownies
really searching
and
for
then
the
a
kitchen it had
Butterfinger.
come from.
And then mix all that
The
shit in
fondue
like
pot
Cold
lived
Stone,
in
and
a
I would
cabinet
sit and
between
watch
dinner
Game of
parties,
Thrones with a
still
big
in its
ass
original
bowl of that
box.
shit.
And bringing it out
Just
was a
ridiculous.
declaration that the evening was an event. The
Not
chocolate
ashamed of
fondue
myself, okay? I'm
itself
not
was
ashamed.
straightforward. Semi-sweet chocolate, heavy cream, a splash of Kirsch
Cream
or
cheese
Grand Marnier
frosting is
melted
over
over a
is
small flame
underrated.
until
I think it's
smooth
the
enough to
best
fill the
frosting. I think
strawberry
cream
cream.
cheese frosting is the best
The
frosting.
social mechanics were the real technique. Everyone dipped in turns. The long two-time
Nah, I ain't get the P.O. box yet, Tyler.
Which was yours.
I ain't get the P.O. box yet. Oh no, I did. I do got one. I'm sorry. I forgot. I ain't buy no P.O. box. I got a fucking family business.
Swiss-French communal tradition.
P.O. box
revived in America in
47.
the
Oh shit, what
1950s,
is it?
reached peak saturation in American dinner culture
damn it.
through the 1970s.
Hold on.
Before fondue pots disappeared into thrift stores by the thousands. The chocolate
God
still
damn
works
it.
exactly
I forgot the
same
P.O.
way.
box.
It is the
I was
gathering
like,
around
I
it
was
that
like,
cannot be
Dad,
replicated.
I ain't about to order, get no P.O. box. I'm
You
using the
could not
company.
make
He's like,
it
yeah, I
without
don't
the
give a fuck.
liqueurs, and everyone at the table knew that.
Oh, God
the
damn it.
grasshopper pie was built around creme de menthe and creme de cacao. The two
Where does
halves
the
of the
fucking P.O.
cocktail
Oh,
borrowed
man.
its name
I'll
from.
figure. I'll
And no
have it.
substitute produced the
I'll
same
have it. I
cool,
forgot. God damn
mint
it.
dark
P.O. box.
chocolate alchemy. Crushed
I can't
Nabisco
remember that
chocolate
shit.
wafers
I gotta
pressed
go there
into a
tomorrow and
pie
get some
plate
shit.
with melted butter formed the crust. The filling was miniature marshmallows melted in a double boiler, then folded with both liqueurs and whipped cream until it turned the pale, luminous green of shallow water.
They're like
4
mint chocolate chip
hours in
ice
the
cream.
freezer. At the table, a vegetable peeler dragged across semi-sweet chocolate sent dark curls falling across the green surface. The transformation of a cocktail into a frozen dessert was exactly the kitchen logic the 1970s loved. In the 1970s, Robert Redford was the most attractive man in American cinema.
Pause.
And some home cook decided the most indulgent dessert she could build deserved to be named for him, or to outdo him entirely. The Robert Redford cake, also known as the better-than-sex cake, depending on who was writing the recipe card, was a 4-layer refrigerator dessert assembled cold in a 9x13. Crushed pecans mixed with flour and butter, pressed flat and baked just until golden. Cream cheese beaten with powdered sugar and folded into Cool Whip until it held a firm ridge. Chocolate instant pudding made with cold milk. A final layer of Cool Whip spread perfectly smooth. 3 hours in the refrigerator before it could be cut. It was a staple of church potlucks and neighborhood gatherings from Ohio to the Carolina coast through the late 1970s and into the 1980s. She always brought it to the 4th of July. After she stopped coming to the 4th of July, nobody thought to bring it. The recipe card is somewhere. The exact ratio of cream cheese to Cool Whip is not. When the Rolling Stones toured America in 1972, the Tequila Sunrise was the drink on the rider, and by the following summer, every bar from Los Angeles to Atlanta was mixing one. The cocktail, tequila, orange juice, grenadine sinking slowly through the glass to pool at the bottom like a sunset, was too photogenic to stay a drink.
Oh shit.
Home bakers poured it into a bundt pan. Yellow cake mix went in with orange juice.
There you go.
and a
There's the
generous
P.O.
measure of
box right
tequila.
there. The P.O. box
Then
is right
grenadine
there.
was layered into the batter at the last moment so it would streak the crumb red and orange as it baked. The glaze on top was more orange juice and more tequila.
Let's put the P.O. box
poured
in the
on
cake.
while the cake was still warm.
Yo, I love
so
me
it
a good
soaked
bundt
straight
cake,
through.
yo. That should look good. It like got
At a
weed on top of it.
1973 dinner party, arriving with a tequila sunrise cake on a pedestal plate meant you had seen the concert, or at least knew someone who had. The cocktail aged out of fashion before the decade ended. The cake was never sophisticated.
You still doing the
enough to
food truck
outlast
stuff, right?
Nobody called it prune cake at the table. That was the first rule. You said spice cake, or you said grandma's cake, or you said nothing, and let the dense, dark, intensely moist crumb speak for itself. The recipe had been in print since the 1930s.
I've been thinking about it.
Home
Like I
economists
really been
promoted
giving it
prunes as a
thought.
Depression-era
'Cause,
moisture source
now my
and
mom's
natural
she
sweetener for
kind of
spice
retired, I
cakes
guess.
that needed to stretch further
She needs
than
something
their
to do,
ingredients suggested.
and she was talking about doing
A
the
cup
food
of
truck
stewed
with me.
prunes
So
or
I was
prune
like, I
puree
don't
went
know.
into the
But
batter
I don't know. We
alongside
might have to
cinnamon,
jump into it. So I
allspice,
may have
and
to pick your
nutmeg.
brain on it.
And the result was a cake so moist it held for
If we
days
do it, it's gonna be
without
like a
drying.
minimum, like a
The finishing touch was the boiled
limited
buttermilk
menu.
glaze. Butter, buttermilk, sugar, and baking soda cooked together until foamy, then poured directly over the hot cake still in the pan, where it soaked in completely and left a barely there crust on the surface. Prune companies ran their own versions of the recipe in magazine advertisements through the 1950s and 60s. She made hers from a card written in her own hand. When you find a prune cake recipe in an old box, you found
cake.
someone's grandmother.
That'll keep you regular.
It was not a salad by any reasonable definition, but nobody at the Easter potluck was going to argue. The Watergate salad, originally called Pistachio Pineapple Delight before a Chicago food editor renamed it during the height of the scandal,
yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with. Like that's what we're gonna go with if we do decide it. So she said one of her friends' brothers has a trailer that he's willing to part with for like 5 stacks, and it's pretty much done. I need a couple of things, so I've been thinking about it, like really giving it some thought.
And the recipe was essentially a demonstration product, a way to sell pudding mix to housewives who had nothing prepared and 15 minutes to spare. Sweet and cold and slightly fluffy.
When's the last time somebody made Jell-O?
And never asked anything complicated.
All right, well, yo, be safe, yo.
Everyone always took the last spoonful. The recipe was printed on the side of the Nabisco famous chocolate wafers box, and it had been there since before most people making it were born. You stacked the thin, dark wafers in a long log, spreading whipped cream between each one. Heavy cream whipped stiff with sugar and vanilla, not Cool Whip.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Because she insisted the real thing was the only way.
So we were just going to do some shit like
log in waxed paper and laid it in the refrigerator.
They think
overnight.
I could do like wings and fucking chicken. That's what they want to do. We can sell the shit out of their wings and your chicken.
Something sliceable and tender.
Everybody that was at the hotel con had some of the fish.
Showing in every
wings and fish. They had the fish. They was on it.
You sliced it on the bias, so the spiral faced up on each plate. The whole thing cost almost nothing and required no oven, no mixer, no special skill, only patience and a refrigerator and the knowledge that the overnight wait was not optional. She made it every summer when the heat made baking
I like this elevator music.
The box still carries the recipe. The kitchen that made it right no longer exists. Before Jell-O brought them to store freezers in the late 1970s, you made them yourself, and the homemade version was better. Not because the recipe was complex, but because you made them in whatever flavor you chose. A packet of instant
baked wings and chicken
milk,
dropped in the fryer
a
for 6
splash
minutes.
more than the box called for, so they stayed creamy when frozen rather than turning icy. Into paper cups, a craft stick down the center, then into the freezer
I get
for
you.
4
I get what you're
hours.
saying, because prep time on like fresh fish and shit like that is a lot.
Hundreds of millions of dollars worth annually at peak, and were discontinued
saying,
in
though.
2004
That does make
when
sense,
the brand determined
like
they were no longer profitable.
Shit
The
that's already
homemade
like pretty
version
much
never went
cooked.
anywhere.
Like
It stopped being made
chicken
when the
tenders
children
already,
who loved them
you know,
grew up and forgot to teach
breaded.
anyone the ratio. The 7-Up went into the batter, and that was the secret.
Ooh, 7-Up cake.
Advertised. Southern bakers had been using carbonated soft drinks in pound cakes since at least the 1950s.
I ain't gonna front. I
when
love me
soda
some
companies
7-Up cake.
began marketing their products as baking ingredients to reach the housewife demographic. A cup of 7-Up stirred into standard pound cake batter, butter, sugar, eggs, flour, lemon extract, created a lift that was different from baking powder, lighter and more even, with the lemon-lime flavor weaving through every slice. The glaze was more 7-Up, mixed with powdered sugar, poured over the warm cake so it soaked in and left a thin, sugared crust on the surface. Church cookbooks across the South carried the recipe under half a dozen names: 7-Up pound cake, Sprite cake, lemon lime cake, and every woman who made it claimed her version was the original. You knew it was ready when a toothpick came out clean and the kitchen smelled like a citrus grove in early summer. Most people have never heard of it, the ones who have go quiet for a moment when you mention it. She never told anyone what was in it until after they had eaten 2 slices. That was the whole game. The tomato soup cake had been in print since the 1930s, when Campbell's condensed tomato soup was one of the few pantry staples available year-round, and some resourceful baker discovered
be making
that
a bag
10
off that shit,
3/4
don't
ounce
you?
can stirred into spice cake batter produced a crumb so moist it was almost unrecognizable as cake. By the 1970s, cream cheese frosting, thick and tangy, standing in peaks, completed the disguise. Nobody guessed. They asked for the recipe and went quiet when she told them. The transformation of a can of soup into something people called the best spice cake they had ever eaten passed between women who cooked without waste and without apology. The recipe came from the back of the Eagle brand sweetened condensed milk can, and it had been there since the 1960s. But most people treated it like a secret they had discovered themselves. A layer of graham cracker crumbs pressed into butter in a 9x13 pan. Then, poured straight from the can, a full cup of sweet
like if I do whiting
over the entire
if
surface.
I do whiting only
spreading
takes like
required.
3 to 4 minutes to
Just a slow,
fry up.
even
You know what I
pour.
mean? Like that's the
Then
type of fish I
chocolate
would do.
chips
Maybe
scattered
maybe
across,
whiting
then
and like
butterscotch
maybe
chips,
catfish, but
then
mostly just
sweetened
whiting.
coconut flakes, then chopped
And then do
walnuts
some
or
wingettes.
pecans.
Like wingettes
Into a
take what?
350
And
degree
wingettes take
oven
like
for
12
25
minutes, don't
minutes.
it? Like if
Pulled
you
out
really
when the
want to cook it
coconut
right,
was
like 8 to
just
12
golden
minutes.
at the edges, and the condensed milk had caramelized into a binding layer that held every element together. The bars needed to cool completely before cutting, which was the only
Yeah, you
hard
got a
part,
point with the prep.
because the smell that came out of the oven made waiting nearly impossible. 7 layers, 1 pan, 1 pour of condensed milk doing all the structural work.
I like
the kind
those
of
right
recipe
there.
you brought to
They
every
like the
gathering
blondies.
until it
Ain't that what they
became the
call it? They
thing
call it
people
blondies or
expected
something
from
like
you.
that.
The cake had colonial roots. New England bakers as far back as the 18th century had used
Baked the
homemade
chicken and then
applesauce
fry
to bind
apples.
batters when eggs and butter were scarce, drawing from European fruitcake traditions that treated fruit as both moisture and sweetener. By World War I, food economists were publishing eggless versions specifically as wartime economy recipes. And by World War II, the applesauce cake had become a patriotic institution
Applesauce
made when
cake?
sugar was rationed to 8 ounces per person per week, and every calorie had to count twice. In the 1970s, it was
Applesauce
still
cake.
being made. In
Shit look
church
good, though.
cookbooks, in community fundraiser collections, in the handwritten recipe boxes of grandmothers who had learned to cook during the Depression and never fully
Yo,
trusted
they got
abundance.
they got creative back
Cinnamon,
then. They just
cloves,
was just
nutmeg,
figuring
and
shit out.
allspice went in with the
Applesauce cake.
applesauce and flour and a modest measure of sugar. The result was dense and fragrant and kept for days without refrigeration. It asked for nothing that could not be found in any pantry
He's
at
eating
any
that shit
time
for
of
breakfast.
year. That was the point. That was always the point. It came to the table warm, always warm, because cold it lost something essential. The date nut pudding cake was a
Date nut
Midwestern
pudding
church
cake.
supper staple. Dense squares of baked date and walnut pudding that sat somewhere between a brownie and a steamed pudding, the dates providing a dark caramel-like sweetness that deepened as the cake cooled. The technique that made it different from any other bar cake was the water bath. The pan set inside a larger pan of hot water in the oven. The gentle, even heat preventing the egg-rich batter from drying at the edges, while the center set slowly and completely. It came out of the oven fudgy and dense all the way through, cut into squares at the table, and served with a spoonful of cold whipped cream that melted on contact. She knew it was done when a toothpick came out with just a few moist crumbs clinging to it. Not wet, not dry, exactly in between. Nobody uses a water bath for home baking anymore. The patience it requires went out of fashion before the recipe did. Harry Baker was an insurance agent in Los Angeles
Lemon
who spent his
chiffon
weekends
cake.
baking.
Ooh.
And in 1927, he invented something nobody had seen before, a cake made with vegetable oil instead of butter, with whipped egg whites folded in last, that came out of the tube pan taller and lighter than any layer cake in any bakery in the country.
Interesting.
He kept the recipe secret for 20 years, selling the cakes to Hollywood studios and fine restaurants before selling the formula itself to General Mills in 1947.
Just seen that though.
General Mills called
Hell
it the
yeah.
chiffon cake and released it
I
to
couldn't do
American
no prune
housewives
cake.
as the
You can't
greatest
trust no
cake
farts.
discovery in 100 years. By the 1970s,
Yeah, I know all these-
the lemon version was a church supper staple.
I guess that was the
oil
move
keeping
back
it
in the
moist
day,
for
like the
days longer
fucking
than
the bun. I
butter-based
guess I
cakes.
can sell
The
them
whipped
bun
whites
cakes.
giving it a crumb so fine it almost dissolved on the tongue. You had to fold the whites in by hand, slowly, or the whole thing deflated. That part never got easier, no matter how many times you made it. Nobody called it Black Forest cake in the 1970s. You called it gâteau, with a slight pause before the word to signal you knew exactly what it meant, and you served it at dinner parties where the tablecloth had been ironed. The German Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte had roots in the Black Forest
Like
region.
bacon take time.
Dark chocolate sponge soaked in kirsch, the tart cherry
Some of this
brandy
shit do.
distilled from Morello cherries grown in the Baden region, filled and frosted with whipped cream and sour cherry compote, finished with dark chocolate shavings curled across the top with a vegetable peeler. American home bakers simplified it, canned sour cherries, boxed chocolate cake, heavy cream whipped stiff. The
That look
Kirsch
good, though.
stayed because the Kirsch was the whole point, a flavor that announced the cake had traveled. It slipped from tables when the word gâteau stopped sounding worth the effort. Before the dinner parties and the gâteau and the fondue pots, there were the everyday kitchen treats that never made it onto anyone's party menu but showed up in lunch boxes and after-school plates every single week. The Jell-O cookies were exactly that, a standard butter cookie dough with a full packet of flavored Jell-O powder mixed in, coloring the dough pink or green or orange depending on the flavor she chose. Jell-O ran advertisements in
Anybody
women's
make
magazines
Jell-O
through
anymore?
the mid-1970s promoting the
Every
recipe.
now and again, I'll see the
Home
pack of
cooks
it.
picked it up fast because the method was simple and the results were startling. Soft, slightly chewy cookies the color of Easter candy with a concentrated fruitiness that no extract could replicate. The gelatin kept them moist for days. You rolled them in granulated sugar before baking so they sparkled coming out of the
My
oven.
mother used to make
The
Rice
edges
Krispie
barely
treats from
set.
scratch back
The
in the
center's
day,
still
and
soft
Jell-O.
enough to dent with
Well,
a
not
thumb.
Jell-O from scratch, but
She
from the
made them
powder.
in whatever flavor you asked for. When she stopped making them, nobody thought to ask. The cast iron skillet never came out of the cabinet for this one. It went from the stovetop, where the butter and brown sugar melted together into a bubbling amber glaze, directly into the
This is what I
oven
want to
with the
learn how to
batter
make:
poured
lemon
on top.
upside down cake.
Maraschino cherries went into the centers of the pineapple rings. The rings pressed flat into the caramel
Beef Jell-O
before a
and
drop
beef
of
Jell-O.
batter touched them. You watched the edges through the oven window and pulled it when the cake had pulled away from the sides and the top was just golden. The inversion was the moment. A plate larger than the skillet pressed face down against the rim, then the whole thing flipped in one motion. The skillet lifted away to reveal the pineapple rings lacquered in dark caramel, the cherries like small red suns in each center.
I'm telling you,
Pineapple
yo,
upside-down cake had been a cast-iron
what's the best
showpiece in
Jell-O
American
flavor?
kitchens
I
since
think
before the
lime is the best
1940s,
Jell-O flavor,
when
and
canned
then
pineapple made it
chocolate
accessible
pudding.
to every
Fucking
household in the country.
fantastic.
She made it for birthdays. The inversion was always her moment. She never let anyone else do it. Brennan's restaurant in New Orleans created Bananas Foster in 1951, naming it for Richard Foster, a friend of the owner, and the tableside flambe. Bananas in butter, brown sugar, and dark rum.
You can teach
ignited
all
at the
this shit.
table and spooned
I
over
want to learn
ice
how to make
cream while
Bananas
still
Foster.
flaming.
Bananas Foster is
Became
fucking
one of the
delicious.
most theatrical desserts in American restaurant history. Home cooks in the 1970s skipped the flame and kept everything else. Butter and brown sugar until
I
they
do make a
smelled like
good
toffee.
banana pudding, though.
Sliced
I
bananas
make a really good
until
banana pudding
glossy,
and rice
a splash
pudding.
of rum. Then everything spooned warm into sherbet glasses over vanilla pudding. The transformation from the South's most famous flambe into something a
We're
grandmother
gonna
could
run
make on a
Savannah
Tuesday
back. I'm gonna do a,
was
I'm gonna do a
exactly
rice
the
pudding.
kind of
I'm
quiet
gonna do a rice pudding and
ingenuity
a
that
banana
filled the
pudding.
recipe
I had to use
boxes of the
Protocol's
era.
house, or get a
She started them Saturday night. Always
hotel with
Saturday
a
night, because
oven.
they needed to rise twice, and the second rise happened in the refrigerator overnight, and Sunday morning was when they came out. The yeast dough was plain: flour, milk, sugar, butter, eggs, a packet of active dry yeast dissolved in warm water that had to feel like a baby's bath, not too hot, not too cold.
My
Rolled
wife be like,
flat,
"Why you
spread
watch
with
this?" I was
softened
like, "'Cause I'm
butter
getting
and brown
fucking
sugar
ideas,
and
okay?"
cinnamon, then rolled into a log and sliced into rounds
your
that
ass
went
gonna eat
into
it.
the pan cut side down. The pan already had its flood glaze waiting. Brown sugar and butter and pecan halves melted together in the bottom, the liquid that would become the caramel crust once the rolls baked down into it. Into the oven cold from the refrigerator, 35 minutes, then inverted while still hot onto a platter so the caramel ran down the sides. The kitchen smelled like the best thing you had ever woken up to.
Hell yeah.
She is
that shit
gone.
with some vanilla ice cream be fantastic.
The smell comes back sometimes in other people's kitchens when someone else has been baking
You
through
sound like
the
my
night.
mother with the add the cognac. My mother loved doing
There
that
was
shit.
no baking
Especially when she made
involved,
bread pudding.
and that was the whole point in summer. The graham cracker crust went in first, crumbs pressed into butter and chilled firm in the pie plate without ever seeing the oven. The filling was cream cheese beaten smooth, then sweetened condensed milk stirred in slowly, then a full cup of sweetened shredded coconut folded through,
That shit look
then
good.
whipped cream folded in last to lighten the whole thing until it held its shape but barely.
That shit look
Into
good.
the refrigerator for at least 4 hours, sometimes overnight. Toasted coconut went across the top just before serving. The pale gold flakes that smell like something warm, even when the pie is cold.
They be telling me
She
I'm
made
old.
it every
so
summer
really
from the
liking shit
time
like
the
this.
temperature climbed past 90 until the first cool night of September, because it required nothing from the oven and everything from patience. The pie still exists. The summer kitchens where it was made, the screen doors and the box fans, and the
Especially because I
women who
love
stood at
rum
the
raisin.
counter
I
in the
love me
heat
some
and
rum raisin
built
ice
something
cream, boy.
cool
When I
for
find
everyone else.
rum raisin ice cream, boy,
Those are gone.
I gotta buy it all.
The name was the technique. You dumped a can of cherry or peach or crushed pineapple into a 9x13
They always
pan,
start to the
liquid
madness,
and
though.
all,
That's
and
how
then
it be,
you shook
yo.
a box of dry yellow cake mix over the top in an even layer, and then you laid thin pats of cold butter across the surface, and you did not stir any of it.
Oh yeah, I've
not
done this
once,
before.
into a 350-degree oven for 45 minutes.
Yeah, I did this
and what
before.
came out was neither cobbler nor cake, but something in between. The cake mix had
That should be
absorbed
so
the
good
fruit
right
liquid
there,
from
though.
below and the melted butter from above, and baked into a golden, slightly crunchy crust over bubbling fruit that tasted like
I
something
do
that
it with like
required hours
peaches
to make.
and cherries
The recipe
and
appeared in
apples.
community cookbooks through
It's
the
so
early
easy.
1970s as convenience cooking reached its fullest expression in American home kitchens. It asked almost nothing of the person making it. No skill, no equipment, no particular talent, and delivered something that made people smile every time. That was the whole alchemy of it. The humblest thing in the dessert repertoire, and somehow always the one the pan emptied first. Plum pudding arrived at Christmas tables wreathed in blue
I
flames,
mean, I like plums, but I
brandy
ain't never
burning
had that shit in a
dramatically
dessert.
as families gathered to witness the spectacle. This dense, dark pudding contained no plums at all. The name
Oh.
referred to raisins, which were once called plums in England. The batter combined sweet breadcrumbs, flour, dried fruits, nuts, and enough brandy to preserve it for
I don't know.
months.
Yeah, I do this shit all the
Families
time,
steamed
yo.
the pudding for hours in cloth-wrapped molds.
I'm
then
in a
aged it like
chokehold right
fruitcake
now.
for optimal flavor. On Christmas Day, the pudding was reheated, doused with warmed brandy, and set alight before being carried ceremoniously to the table.
That look good.
Hidden inside were silver coins or charms that
What?
promised luck to whoever found them in their
That's
slice.
crazy.
The tradition required advanced planning and genuine skill, making it impractical for modern rushed households. Plum
Mine's
pudding
too.
represented the
Anything mine has
pinnacle
to
of
be.
Victorian Christmas celebration, a dessert
Oh,
that
yeah.
demanded reverence. Date nut roll was the kind of dessert
Yeah,
that
we
made
gonna have to- we
children
gonna have to
hover
cut this one a
anxiously
little
around
short.
the kitchen,
Oh my God.
waiting for the moment it was sliced. It was
Miniature
not a pie
plums.
or a cake, but a refrigerator candy.
Oh my gosh, y'all. Anyway, I think that's all I got for tonight. That shit making me hungry. I need to take my ass to bed before I be in the refrigerator reading some shit or making a fucking peach cobbler at 12:43 in the morning. Anyway, guys, that's all I got for y'all. If you're new, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification icon. It'll let you know when I got new content coming out. Share the stream. Let people know we were live. You want to catch the replay, leave a comment. Let me know how I'm doing. I use that constructive criticism. I was flying by the seat of my pants tonight because just working late. Anyway, until next time, it's Cannon Hotep saying be blessed, stay strapped, don't miss, and don't worry about tomorrow, guys. Tomorrow got enough problems of its own. Worry about today. I'll holler at you.
Seen as too old-fashioned or too fiddly for modern...
Niggas need to relax and take notes. Niggas need to wake up. Niggas need to relax and take notes.